February is Black History Month, and all month long, we'll be introducing you to history makers from the past and the present. On February 2nd, 2009, Eric Holder was confirmed as the 82nd Attorney General of the United States, serving in the administration of President Barack Obama. Holder became the nation's first African-American Attorney General. In November of 2018, Judge Angela Graves Harrington became a part of history when she was one of 17 African-American female judges elected in Harris County, Texas. Judge Harrington presides over the 246th Family District Court, and I recently had a chance to speak with her about that history-making election and some of the challenges that she and her colleagues face on the bench today. Judge Angela Graves Harrington of the 246th Family District Court. Judge, we are thrilled, as you know, to be talking to you today.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be speaking with you as well.
Yeah, so tell me about the Black Girl Magic campaign that ushered you and 16 other African-American female judges into Harris County last November.
So the amazing thing about the Black Girl Magic campaign is that it wasn't planned. We all decided to run for judge for numerous reasons, but mainly because we wanted to restore some type of compassion and integrity to the bench. And also we wanted to see diversity on the bench. So when we ran, we all saw each other in the room, and we just couldn't believe that there were so many African-American women running for judge, which was an historic moment in and of itself.
Right. And how does it feel to be a part of that historic moment? A lot of people see it as a groundbreaking, culturally shifting moment, especially for Harris County, which is such a racially and ethnically diverse area, one of the most in the country.
That's true. Harris County is one of the most diverse counties in the country. And because Harris County is the size of 26 states, that makes it even more significant. We have a lot of minorities who come through our judicial system, and unfortunately, they just haven't seen a representation on the bench that gives them that compassion, that level of comfort that they need. I am so amazed, and it still feels surreal that I'm a part of this moment. And one of the reasons why I'm so amazed at it, I'm amazed at the reach. I'm amazed at the number of people across the country who have been reaching out to us, who are inspired, who have been inspired to run for judicial positions or other political offices, or just students who are inspired to do better. We've gone out and talked to students. We've gone out and talked to people in the community. And it's just amazing how much hope has been injected into our community as a result of this. So I'm blessed, and I'm so grateful to be a part of this moment.
Indeed, representation is a powerful, powerful thing. Now, your jurisdiction is in Harris County, which does include Houston. How has that area and Texas overall changed just in the past 15 years?
Great question. So I moved to Houston about 15 years ago, and it was on the verge of shifting in terms of the racial dynamics. We have seen a growth astronomically, and of course, as a result of several things, natural disasters in neighboring states that have brought people here, and then just people moving here for work. And so we've seen diversity just explode on the scene. We've seen people's levels of acceptance exploding on the scene. So we've seen a huge, tremendous political shift across the state of Texas. Even in our neighboring county, Fort Bend County, we've seen a shift in our political system. And it's mainly because we have diversity now. We have so much diversity in these counties, and people want government that represents them and that looks like them.
Right. And you did mention during your campaign that you were actually inspired by President Barack Obama, who implored people to get out and get involved if they're unhappy with what they're seeing in their communities. So what did you see in the criminal justice and the family court system in Houston that really urged you to act?
I had a very personal case that happened with me. I had a client who was actually sentenced to 180 days in jail for allegedly not helping her children return a phone call to their father. And it was just a moment at that time, I just thought, this can't continue. And my client she was fortunate enough to afford to appeal it, and its judgment was overturned. But I thought about all the people who come through our system who can't afford it, and they have to live with those sentences and those punishments. And it's devastating to the families. It's devastating to the person. And there's no positive result that can come of this. So I decided that, I have to change this. I have to change this system that's putting people in jail, tearing families apart for minor infractions or because they don't appeal to the judge that's on the bench. And so that's why I was motivated to do this.
And you kind of already touched on this, but what is your mission or your legacy when it comes to social and criminal justice in the 21st century?
My mission is justice. None of us who run have said that anyone should go without being punished, but there has to be a level of compassion when administering these punishments. There has to be a level of understanding, and you have to have a level of empathy. As a judge, we have so many people who come before us. We have different people who come before us. And of course, we haven't experienced all their life experiences, but we have to attempt to step into their shoes. So my legacy when I leave the bench, hopefully in 20 years, would be a judge who is compassionate and who administers justice in a just manner.
Now, Judge, you know this. There have been calls for decades to reform the criminal justice system, which many point to as the beacon of institutional racism when you look at the disproportionate rate that Black and brown people are sentenced compared to non-Black and brown people. So as an African-American woman, a part of this powerful body of other African-American female judges, how do you think your presence and discretion will help to change that? Because as you mentioned, for these individuals and families that appear before you, the ruling they get can be the make or break for their life.
And that is so true. And as a judge in the family court system, we have a huge impact on people who may eventually end up in the criminal justice system. So in the family courts, again, it's all about compassion and trying to understand why parents are not parenting the way they need to, instead of just removing children and snatching children from their parents and putting them into unknown territory. So if I can stop it at the forefront, if I can address the issues with these families in the beginning, I can prevent them from going further into the criminal justice system. And what it means for people who come into court, I can't tell you how many people who have come into court and just smiled. And they're coming in here because CPS has maybe removed their child because they did something wrong. And they know they did something wrong, but it's like they just breathe this sigh of relief when they walk in and they see a judge who's smiling back at them.
And Judge, what do you think is the biggest lesson that we can learn from history?
The biggest lesson is just to know the history. When you know history and you know why something happened or why something didn't happen, then you can take the steps or the measures needed to ensure that it doesn't happen again. So it's an old saying, but I do believe it's true, that if those who don't know their history are bound to repeat it. And so the most important thing about history is to know your history, take from it what worked and leave behind what doesn't.
Judge Angela Graves Harrington of the 246th Family District Court, thank you so much for the work you do and for the continued inspiration. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. So nice speaking with you today.